rectal thermometer.
That's it. That's the name.
Let's post a poll on Twitter and see which ones people want.
Okay. All right.
Vote for rectal thermometer.
All right. You will have to remind me of the choices that we've chosen. Although, granted, are polls still available for non-Twitter blue users?
Oh, God damn it.
You only need Twitter Blue if you're going to vote on Twitter policy.
Okay, great. Great.
Welcome to the Gaming Coop, the best space to talk about future.
All right.
Actually, let me check.
Future. Let's use these players. Player 1.
Yeah, you can
Let's
do it,
use
you can
Denver
do it.
team
All right,
on the
cool,
shelf
cool,
too long.
cool,
Called
sure.
that a dusty Bronco.
all right.
It's Anthony.
Well, there you go.
Ah.
we made a
Player
video game
2,
console.
like, bruh, we're just calcium. It's
Definitely more successful than the fucking Intellivision Amico.
Player
whatever the fuck it's
3
called.
has
What
the
are you gonna
disembodied
say,
hand
Matt?
of the Goat
Or
Daddy and isn't afraid
So
to
would you
use
guys
it.
buy
It's
it?
Matt.
Oh my god.
Player 4.
Mayhap.
The Super Edition.
Babe,
just
I'm
some
Spider-Man, and you're
examples.
not.
I need
you're
to
going
know.
make
I
me
need to
wet.
understand its
It's 12
exclusives. Like what farming
Yeah.
sims or what brand of farming sims.
And Player
Here's
5,
the thing, they're
I'm
all
not a
gonna
role
be
model.
exclusive.
I was briefly a
Yeah.
runaway model. I hate the
It's
AM,
true,
I
but
hate
I just
the
meant,
PM,
I just meant
hate
more
labels.
like
It's Chris.
Is this something that already speaks
Yeah.
to me?
Welcome everybody.
You farm
It's
to
a very
to
good
make up
question.
June edition of
You just farm all the time. All right. Well, there you go.
So
That is
per
our
tradition.
console.
We
You-
have
you
every
can-
June
when
for the
we
last
start our
2 years,
Patreon, we'll
taking the
we'll have
time
that
to talk
be
about the games we're looking forward
stretch
to, the
goal
ones we
for us.
necessarily
That's
haven't
Kickstarter. Never mind.
played yet.
Anyways,
the ones that we want to play, but may not
let's
be
move
in
on.
our hands just
We will,
yet.
Kelsey, you
And
and
so
I
we're gonna
are going to
celebrate
bit here to talk
E3
about
Summer
two
Game
games.
Fest
All right, let's go.
time.
I mean, I guess it's not, it
Jusant.
really is no longer going to be
This
E3.
is
So
a
it's Summer Game
climbing
Fest.
game,
We're celebrating
that
the
has a
Summer
cute
Game
little
Fest
water
time
friend
by
that you are
talking about the future of
that
what
you're
we
carrying
want
around
to play.
And we're doing this a little bit differently.
I
We're not
also
going to
played
be
the
doing
demo
like a
for
set
this.
order that we have
And
in the
it's
past.
neat.
Instead, it's just
Looks
going to
like
be more
as you're climbing,
we
you're going to get a
we
little
made
bit
a doc,
of story about the world
listed
and
all the
why
games that we
it
want to
is
talk
the
about.
way it is.
And
At
I'm
the
just going
moment,
to bring up the
it does
game
feel
as
like,
we go along.
in
as we
general, things
discuss
are a
and
bit
talk
like
about what we're
wild
looking
about the
forward to.
world. Things are not
So, without any further
normal,
ado, let's
and
talk about
you kind of learn about
first
why it is
most
that in the
anticipated
case
game
why
here,
it is in the situation that it
Starfield,
is.
which granted,
by
probably
reading
not
the
super
various
surprising.
journals
We
that
did
you,
talk about Starfield
read along
last
the
year
way.
to an extent, but we got
It
a
very
big
much
deep dive. It
we
has
got
some.
the,
Someone tried to
announcement
describe it
of,
as like it could be like a teen eco
uh,
game, which
of the-
we
that's the-
got the
that's the
announcement
developer
for the. Well, we
behind
knew
Shadow of
what
the
the release date
Colossus
was, but we we got
Eco
even more details
and,
since then. And got
the last
a whole
what is
deep
it called?
dive
Last
from
Guardian,
them.
earlier this
But
month.
yeah, who wants?
I
to-
think it's
between
neat
Kelsey and
from what I
Anthony,
played,
who have their names here.
Kelsey,
Who wants
are
to
you
start
are
out
you
talking
into
about you're
Starfield a
into
little
the
bit?
idea of climbing?
Rock, paper, scissors, or
Yeah,
shoot.
I mean, some of my favorite games
I
have
don't
this
do well with
main
timed
element
events. You know
of
that.
the gameplay, like
I was just gonna say,
Horizon,
I
and God of
feel I was
War,
kind of confessing this to Anthony before
Tears of the
the pod.
Kingdom, and Breath of
I
the
like to
Wild.
come to
So,
these fully prepared.
you
I
know,
felt
on
a
a
little
much
ill-equipped
smaller
to do
scale,
that
Animal Crossing
with
New
this
Horizons.
format. Since it's
Sure,
format
you can lag-
time.
you
So
climb a ladder
layers-
occasionally.
It's more
Yeah.
casual. I'm very excited to talk about it, but I
Fine
feel
if you're feeling a little
ill-equipped to like
spicy
start
or
Oh
whatever.
whatever.
yeah,
But
change it up, you know.
yeah, exactly.
I don't know if we're
presenting
but no,
information
on a
like
serious note,
who's
I
the
thought
publisher,
that this
who's
just
the
looked
game
very. I
house,
think the
and
game
Nah,
was drawing
like
me
that.
into
Like,
it mostly.
so
is
anyway, I was gonna
meditative.
say I'm really excited
In a
for
lot
one,
of the descriptors
I'm excited
for it,
for the
they
whole
keep using
game,
the term
but I'm
meditative.
really,
I think
really
that their
excited for one
intention
specific
is
thing
for
that was
this to be
announced in the
very
latest deep dive,
very
that
almost
they
like
did,
healing,
and
Yeah.
that
and
is ship
intentional.
customization.
And it so
Mm.
in
I
that
am
reason it kind
so
of reminds
fucking
me of like a
pumped
short
for that,
hike
and
as
and
well.
housing.
Like I felt like that was
like
a very
any of the customization stuff that they
intentional
announced.
and
I
almost
think
like
is going to be
healing
super
experience
cool
play
because
that
we
game.
have not
Like
really
it
had,
just
to
was
my
very
knowledge,
much that you're
other
you
than
have
maybe
a
like
specific goal.
WildStar,
It's
a
not
space
like that in many ways, but I just I'm getting like a similar
game
that allows you to like make a player home
so
wherever you want. Again,
Like,
I'm very much
like they were
for the love
suggesting
of God, I just
on any
need
planet
something to bring me
in
out of
any
my
terrain.
reality. So I just need
that
cozy,
is, I guess,
cozy spaces
houseable.
with deliberate
And-
intention
and the
that
ship
feel
being
feel good.
customizable as well.
And
Like
this
Mass
feels that
Effect
way.
allows you to
And
do very minor
I
things,
do not yet have
but not
a
on the
name
level
for the organism
they're
or
presenting
the
this.
entity
So
itself.
just
but
right
that
from the
little
start, just throwing
fucking
out there
cutie
that
in
is
the
absolutely my
backpack
favorite thing I'm looking forward
is
to. I
going
forgot
to
everything else
send
they
me
talked
over the
about.
edge. It literally
so much information.
So I'm just like
get stuck
throwing out there like that got me
the
super
front of, like, a
pumped. I was
toothpaste
really afraid
thing,
of what
and like
Starfield
get
was
dry
going
there,
to
and you
be,
have to
and I
wedge it out
feel
to use your
very
toothpaste if you lost the
relieved
cap.
after
It literally
this
looks like
particular.
that.
It does. I'm sorry. That's what it
deep
looks
dive
like
that
to
they
me,
did,
and
like,
so I
straight.
feel
He's
very
minty
excited
fresh and is my little
feel like
friend,
they
and I'm
really know
excited.
what they're doing.
Absolutely.
Because I had absolutely no faith that they were going to pull this off. So
it describes
that's all
itself
I have
as
to
like
say.
an action
Anthony,
adventure
what about you?
game, which I'm like,
Yeah.
when's the action gonna show up? Because I hope never. Because I do think as a climbing experience,
I
it's
love
very
Bethesda
cool.
RPGs.
And I would just like it to just be a climbing game where you learn a story
in,
and
like,
you're
2008
kind of
or
just keep on going.
2009.
A lot of cool
I think that they
elements.
are
Like you also like can
absolute
like propel
masters of
downward and
creating an
swing yourself
interesting
up.
open world with really cool
very
locations
very
to
interesting game.
explore.
I'm very curious about it. It's from
And
the
this
people that
is
made
like the
the
next
first Life is
logical
Strange.
step in that.
So
right?
they're
Like,
very much in their bag with
I'm
different
excited to
types of
see
video games now. So very
what
cool.
the handcrafted
Ollie
locations
Frog
have.
Toad Skater.
Oh yeah.
I'm a little hesitant about
this
like
is
the.
this is a
I don't
indie
know
ass
if they're
indie
using
game
procedural
where this is
generation,
made by.
but there's a lot of
This
planets
is
that
because
don't
it's
have
made by one
handcrafted
guy,
touches to
and you
them.
look at it and you're
Because
like,
there's
"Yep,
literally
this is
like
definitely an
thousands
indie
of
game."
planets that you
But
can go to. Like,
it
there's
feels
no way.
fantastic.
A
few years ago, there was a game called Skatebird that came out, and this is not to disparage Skatebird, but that game just did not feel quite to my liking.
That I think you can directly
And
map
I'm
between
like,
Bethesda
man, it would be
and
cool if
Hello
we could get
Games,
another
and
animal on a
so
skateboard.
I'm kind of
and
expecting
have
it
it
to
feel
be
good.
like
And
a
let me tell you, Ollie Frog Toad Skater,
more
I played
triple
another.
deeper
We should
No
like
Man's
call
Sky,
have
because
this
No
like
Man's
we should
Sky
have like
is
a
like a
sound
mile
bite
wide
for
and like
every single time I
an
bring up
inch
that I
deep.
played a demo for the
It
fucking
really
game.
doesn't
But anyways,
go
I
too
did play a
far
demo for
into
Ollie Frog
anything.
Toad
It
Skater.
relies a
It
lot on
feels
procedural
fantastic.
generation to kind of
And I
like
just cannot wait.
fill
Like
out
it
the
just
entire
it feels
game,
very
you know?
good to play.
So I think that Bethesda taking
learning
on
the
this kind
tricks
of
and stuff
project
is
is
going to
really
take
smart,
like
because that's
some
where they
getting
excel.
used to, like just
You
like
can
understanding
go
all the
into
mechanics.
a building,
but
and even
for
if
what it
they're
is and what
using
it
the
is
same
trying
set
to like
pieces that you
kind of
see
portray,
in
it's very much
20
like
other
obviously
buildings,
taking after Tony
they
Hawk
find a
Pro
way to
Skater,
make it
no
unique,
shit.
memorable, and rewarding.
And it
The
is
guns look great.
very much
The
like,
ship
hey,
customization looks
hey, can you
fucking
help me collect
amazing.
all these floating watermelons?
And
you just go and you just try to
I
go
don't
through
know.
the
I'm just so
pipes and you
excited
are
for
just
it.
tricking
I'm a
off the
little
pipes trying to
bummed
reach the
that
watermelons.
they
And
officially
there's
confirmed
no
that there's
time
no
limit. They
land
just want you to get the
vehicles.
watermelons and you
Because
do
I'm
it,
like,
and it's
all right, so
fantastic.
you're kind of like shifting
And
to keep
it's just a
running
good
on
time.
planets and
You collect
jetpacking
things
around,
and you
but
trick, and
I'm going
you are just this
to
cool
give it
frog
the
that you can
grace of waiting
customize in
to
a
see it.
variety of different colors and
And
props and
there have
stuff,
been
and you can
a
earn
lot
props as you
of
play as
really
well.
incredible games in
Kelsey, you
2023.
you and
This
I
is the one I'm most
love
looking forward to
SSX,
for the remainder of the year.
we've been dying for some kind of game
I think
is reminiscent of
there's
our
going
times
to
playing with
definitely
that.
be
Maybe this will be
caveats
it.
that come with this game.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not holding my
obviously
breath.
The concerns about
Sure,
you know
fair
how
enough.
Bethesda
I'm very
RPGs
excited
have
for this,
released
but
over
I
the
just
years,
I'm also
based
afraid,
on launch
kind
and
of
how
like
buggy
Starfield.
they tended to be.
It looks
Uh,
so cute, and I want it to be so
Microsoft
good. I
has,
just don't know if it's
they've
quite
said
going
in
to do that for
interviews
us. But I hope that it
after the
does.
Starfield Direct,
Yeah,
like
fair enough.
this is if
We-
Starfield
I also
were to
want
release
to. I do actually
today,
want to try
like
Tony Hawk Pro
June
Skater,
24th
that new
instead of
remake that was
September
made a couple
6th.
years
I
ago.
know
I
I'm
just
being
had not
robust,
touched
but,
it
like,
because
by
I
the
was
5 days,
sick
I
and tired of
apologize.
Activision's bullshit.
But
Amen.
if it were
But
to release today, it would
now
have
that
the
I
least
didn't have to pay
bugs
any money for it, and
than
I could
any
just
Bethesda
download it.
RPG had
I'm like,
before.
all right, maybe I might
So
as well give it a shot.
that's a big promise. We'll see
so
if they meet that,
we'll
right?
see. I'll
And
get
then
back
there's
to
like
you on that.
the whole
You
frames
all
per
on
second
that.
conversation on
Consoles.
Anthony,
Like
there's obviously
there
the
are
whole
a lot
game
of
called
things to
Pacific
be
Drive. Hesitant about.
Yeah, so
I
this
just
game
think
is a
if this
first-person
game at
game
all
where you
meets
drive
the fraction
around
of
what
the
I'm assuming
expectations it
is
is
the
lofted,
Pacific Northwest.
like it
Northwest.
is going to be like one of the
Northwest.
more incredible achievements
And
we've kind of
it's
ever
kind of
seen
like
with video games.
storms
Like
and weird weather
the fact that
conditions.
they talked about
And
to your
you
point, Anthony,
have
like
this
they
car
brought
that
up
you
the whole like procedural
upgrade,
generation thing.
and
They said that at
it's
least
based on like
10%
things that you
of the planets are
dismantle and
going to
scrap
have
out
like
there in the
actual
storm.
structured,
And from
like,
what they've shown
actual
so
things,
far, there's
like,
also
on
an element
on the
of
planet
like
to interact with, like
choosing
towns
specific upgrades
or
that
any
will
sort of
help
like
you
specific
better
story
handle
events on those planets.
specific conditions
And they
that
said
you
there's like 1,000
experience along
planets
the
that you
way.
can explore. That's 100 planets planets with some sort of story
And I have a
content on.
soft spot.
So
in my
it, which
heart
so
for
I
games
I can
that
understand that there
revolve
is like
around
this
a vehicle
hesitancy
that
of
you
like,
upgrade.
what if everything is just
especially
empty?
in
It's like, yeah, there probably is going to be a lot of
horrible
emptiness,
weather
but maybe they have it where like,
after playing
you
Choo
still
Choo
have like
Charles
this
earlier
super
this year,
sizable
which was just such an
adventure
incredible
ahead of you
game.
within like these 100
So I'm
planets
looking
that
forward to
are
that. I'm
going
not
to
sure
have
if
like
this
a lot of
has as
content
many
on it, and
overt
then
horror
like all these
elements, or if
extra
it's just more
places
of
that you
like
can visit
a
and
survival
explore
kind
and
of
mine
thing.
and and
but it looks
resources or whatever they ended up doing.
It looks like a
for me.
thriller.
I'm
someone that
anything,
is
more just like
definitely
you're trying to
not
you're just
big-
avoiding the
I'm not the
elements more
biggest
than
open
anything
world
else.
person.
I don't think it's meant to
There's
be
certain
like
open
jump
worlds
scare
I do
stuff,
love,
but
Skyrim
super
was
cool.
my
Looks great.
first
It's being
Bethesda
a
RPG I really gave
only
a
thing I
shot
know
and
about
really
this game
played
outside
through
and really
the
ended up
trailers
enjoying
and
some discussions.
my
I've
big
heard,
thing
I've seen
is
I hope that
it's
Starfield
being
lets you cheat. The publishing is being done by Papa
my
Agenda.
main thing is I
another
hope
one of
that
those
the
companies
one
that
thing
I'm
that
like,
Bethesda
if a
RPGs
Papa
always
Agenda
had
is
was the
associated
ability
with
to
it,
open up
I
chat
trust
command
whatever game
and
they're working on.
give yourself immunity,
so
give yourself that
that's
stuff.
safe for
Literally
I can tailor
thought
my
that the first
experience
thing,
and my
the first time
enjoyment
you
of
said
that
Papa
game
Agenda, I
to
thought you
how
were
I
gonna say Papa
want
John's.
it to
No.
And I was like,
that's gonna
what
make
the
the
actual
experience, I
shit?
think,
No,
hopefully
Papa
more
John's.
worth
I would
it.
not trust a single game.
Otherwise, I don't
Right,
know
that's why I
how
was like,
much
what?
I'm going to be into this
in a
game
million
when it's all said and
years.
done.
I
But
don't even trust their own pizza.
I think if there's any game that's going to rival
Walsh,
Tears of the
not
Kingdom
sponsor.
for
Not a
the
sponsor,
big awards
absolutely
at the
not.
end of the year, it
we
could
will,
be
we,
this.
even if
I
you
don't
ask
see any
to
other
sponsor
game
us,
that
we're
could
not
come out
taking
and
your
even
fucking
top what
money.
Tears
You,
of the Kingdom
Papa
has
John.
done.
Fuck
Which I believe this
Anyways, Walsh,
is this
you're...
the first
I'll
podcast
take
we've
Papa
done
John's
since
money.
Tears of the Kingdom came out.
All right, fair
No,
enough.
we had one before because I made a core.
Walsh
Walsh,
is like, whatever
that's
pays
right,
the bills.
that's right.
Like,
Well,
I'm
yeah, that's
fine
true.
with
There's,
that.
in fact, there was
That's
multiple
completely fair.
court jokes
Walsh,
at the
you
beginning of
I
the
should
I
forgot
brought this up to you
recently.
but
Alien
yeah, so
Hominid Invasion.
I always
because
don't know how to pronounce
of
the middle
the
word.
scope and scale of this. Because I'm an
Hum-dum-dum-dum-dum.
indie person, not so much a
But this
AAA
is the game
person.
from Behemoth,
But
a developer that
I'm
you
also
have,
someone that has a
enjoyed
little bit
games
of
from.
FOMO when
Yes,
everyone's
they've
enjoying a game.
they've created
that I kinda
Castle
wanna get
Crashes,
in
they
on that
created
action.
Battle Block Theater.
And
Alien Hominid
I'm hoping that
is a game
Starfield has
they
the
had previously made
resources
quite a
or
while
the
ago. In fact, you
accessibility,
may even still be able to find it
approachability
on
aspect of
Newgrounds,
it.
but
Like I
it
hope that
looks like they have
that's in the
not only
forefront,
just
so that way I can
completely
enjoy it.
remastered it,
Matt and
but
Walsh,
they've
any
changed the way that the health system
interest in
works, so it's no
Starfield
longer
at
you shot
all?
once, you
Bethesda
die.
needs to earn my
Made the
trust
game
before I
very
will play a
difficult,
game.
but also
That's
very
fair.
satisfying to
Yeah,
play.
no, that's
fair.
exactly
Not only
where
do you
I'm
have a health
sitting
bar
too.
now, but you are
Yeah.
able to play it
I think
with
that is
a
completely
lot of
fair.
other
Like I
players.
think
You're
as
able
much as
to
they've
play
talked a
co-op,
big
and a lot of
game,
the time, if I'm going to sit down and play something,
like
I like it to be
I'm
something that I
right
can
now I'm
sit and
saying
play
here
with
saying like,
friends.
okay,
And the fact
I
that this
see what you're
already
saying,
has
but you have
so
to prove it to
many
me
elements
September
visually,
6th when
so
this
many
game
details
comes out.
Especially
that I
having
already
been so
enjoy, and a lot of
scorned,
the
as I've
stupid
said
humor
it
that
before,
Behemoth comes to
by
bring to the table.
what happened with
I'm
like
very
Anthem.
excited for
I
this game.
just,
Yeah,
I
yeah,
can't.
hell yeah. It's hard to
I
trust
just want
AAA
to
studios
add
at this
that I
point.
played
Like,
the original
I know none of
Alien
us played it, but
Hominid
like
on
Cyberpunk
PS2.
They
I know that's
spent
really
so
difficult.
much time
Fucking
and so much
difficult.
money on games
It
that are
is.
I
It
shit.
is.
Yeah,
I kept dying
rough.
at the
It's rough.
Or at the
Soviet
very
Union
least,
level
like,
where you fight a
fine,
boss who literally
but should be
has the
much better
hammer
than
and
their
the sickle.
price tag and
One
As like
games
a
that had a lot
or
of
something else.
games that had a lot of
Exactly. It
promise
kind of just
that
takes you out of it, which
ultimately
is why I'm
did
glad
not
that
live
they
up
are
to
opting
what
for
it
an
could have
actual
been,
health bar,
and then
and you can
treated
actually
poorly
play
by
it
the
with
developer.
friends as
I
well.
will say,
Yeah, I think that
to
was one of the best
Cyberpunk's
things
credit,
about
it seems like they are kind of
games like
turning things
Castle
around there,
Crashers that
but still,
focused on
you
you
should.
could play it yourself, but you could play
Developers need to be
co-op,
better about
up to
launching a
4
game
people, you
at
could
launch
revive
that's
each other,
actually
you could
feasible
fight
and good.
for
Like,
glory,
like
with one another at
it's
the end of the
ridiculous to
level.
have to
And
wait
then you had
years
Battle
after the
Block
fact
Theater,
after
which I
you
don't think
release
I've
something
talked about
for
on
it
the
to actually
channel
be
before,
decent.
but
Yep.
it was a completely
yeah.
collaborative game.
Speaking
So to
of,
be able
we're
to
moving away from
take
AAA games.
those
We're going to
parts
have a
of the
little
game
indie
where you
block
play with your
here
friends and
of games
go
that we
back
want to
to
talk
this
about.
game. I'm very
Matt
excited to
and
really sit down and
Walsh,
play with other
you
people.
guys want to talk about Revenant Hill
Yeah, I think that
from the
I'd play this
makers
too.
of Nine in the Woods. Nice.
Who wants to start?
Rock, paper,
Matt,
scissors.
you want to talk not
I'll go
a
first.
full-fledged game. You want
As
to talk about
the
some
resident Night in the
DLC
Woods,
for your game of the year
fanatic.
last year, Pokemon
Um,
Scarlet and Violet.
Yeah,
Which,
so
not saying the Walsh
obviously,
isn't, but
obviously I am a game freak.
I really
shill.
fucking like Night in the Woods.
So,
Yeah.
but Revenant Hill, like I didn't
I'm really
see this
excited for
trailer
Scarlet
like
Violet
initially.
DLC. I was on
I
call
really
with
enjoyed what they
these
did with Sword and
bozos
Shield
when
Yes.
when
I
it was
thought that they
revealed.
were
Really good
and they were
additions
screaming
onto
at
base
me
game. That it was like,
and
oh my
Scarlet
god,
and Violet was a better overall game
it
than
looks
Sword
like
and Shield
me
was. So
from Night of the Woods,
and
it does.
I'm hopeful
And
that
that's
the
just how
DLC will
kind of follow suit.
Cats.
Just two different kind of side stories around different already kind of legendary Pokemon. Get some new fun lore and stuff. Art style, obviously, I'm assuming the idea of like building a town before and being so reliant on each other, I think is a really powerful message. And I think that's something that different stories that will be involved with that you buy them together. The studio itself from each other is kind of building on that philosophy. Really like Scott Benson, Bethany Hockenberry, and everyone else at the main thing that I think I'm excited about is co-op that from a gaming co-op competitive Pokemon angle, like completely work our own. It's not really like a good number of Pokemon. It's not like most studios, so I really want this game to have success. So that I always enjoy when that happens.
A refresh.
So that it add can like prove new toys to play with. game development is possible. But yeah, I really enjoyed the Sword and Shield DLC. I thought Isle of Armor and Crown Tundra
a lot of what Matt said. I think that I'm really excited to have
extra adventures, and these new ones they're called.
I feel like they're going to take a lot of.
I don't even know what they're fucking called. One's the Indigo Disc. One is the someone with a mask.
F it up. You can see that there's a lot more history.
Mask one's first.
Just the aesthetics of it are already very beautiful.
Yeah,
and the writing was always very clever.
I just enjoy.
Even from screenshots that you could see even before the game
enjoy Scarlet and Violet a lot. More Pokemon is never a bad thing, and I will probably continue only playing Final Fantasy 14 and Tears of the Kingdom until those come out. But
fair enough, they probably will have different mechanics, different
understandable.
Puzzles the same way Night in the Woods was.
Yes.
And while Night in the Woods, I feel was hit or miss for people with different stories, just from people that
that is a good question.
Online,
so
Sopa, a lot of us really enjoyed the story. I'm very excited
so
to see
again,
what
this is me pulling these games off of my list that's
like
called
the Woods.
Games I want to play. I guess from watching all of the shows that were recently aired. So
that it is
Sopa
going down the path of simulation, like that.
A game where you were playing as a young boy,
which I think is really interesting.
Who is in the care of his grandmother.
So I am intrigued by it. I don't know if it's necessarily one that speaks to me, but I also like games that are
a lot of details about it. I think it was a brief.
Political.
I think it was during Cozy Game Fest,
and
they go through them so quickly.
This game.
I did rewatch
it's also very, very cool.
I did watch.
I love that
did rewatch the trailer, but it's only like a minute long.
Going back,
ultimately, anything that has to do with a grandma brings me to my fucking knees. Like I can't handle it.
But the fact that
in like the best way and in a way that makes me want to handle it. So it looks like it's his grandmother. Sopa is the Spanish word for soup. And it looks like a lot of the narrative revolves around the fact that the grandmother is at the stove making soup, and she asks the grandson to have like lunch with her or something. But the grandson keeps winding up in these adventures in what looks like a fantasy world where there's like anthropomorphic animals, and it has to do with like storytelling. It looks like it has to do with like legend, because there's at one point they show like a wolf eating a scorpion, and I'm almost certain that there's some sort of like legendary story about that. That's like a mystical story. So I don't know. It looks to me like they're lending themselves to speaking about.
So excited.
It's like
I think which trains
my godfather, and my uncle, who's like my bestie, passed away in 2010, possibly relating to like family history, and I just associate him and trains, and I think that's why I kind of revolving around his grandmother's soup. And as somebody who grew up with a beloved grandmother who was always in the kitchen, and I have trained things, I think the trains are fascinating. Recipes and family stories. Like if I go away anywhere on vacation, and there's like a so I'm very much looking excursion that you can take. I'm like, yes, we're doing it. Like, was there? So when I saw this come up as just like a simple little cozy,
I cannot speak for this
puzzly type.
I will say the
game, and I kind of like the like blocky.
Sopa is an emotional narrative adventure about.
It's like Lego-esque, like the format. It's just exactly what I just said. Already, sure. I don't know the terminology to look at, but sure. So voxel. I don't know. I just think it looks. It's very intriguing. I think that it's different. I don't see a lot of, unless I'm wrong, which is entirely possible. I don't see a lot of train games sort of like claymation, like this, a little rough around the edges, come around like very often. So it looks like they use a lot of rich color. And again, I feel like it's definitely forward to it. I just want to like family culture. I just want to like put on a little and like you said, background noise, a couple of candles, and just like completely unlock my brain from reality and enjoy station to station. It just gives me that comfort that I'm really looking forward to. So I'm happy to see that you and Anthony are also interested. So I'd like to hear what you have to say about it.
I ended up actually playing the station to station demo.
Oh, you bitch.
Yeah, and there's a lot of these I actually have played demos for, which is
I'm
fun.
sure.
I bring insights. I've played of it. It seems like it's going to be a great time. Basically the gameplay loop is you have, hey, here's a building that creates wheat, but in order for it, and here's like a bakery, and you want to basically connect the train station from that place that makes wheat, and you connect it to that bakery who makes the bread, and then they bring the bread to the city, and then you have to connect the train station of the bakery to the city, and then the whole time you're kind of managing resources, like how much money you spend on the tracks, and ultimately and also like bridges cost a little bit more, so you have to kind of factor that. Like they kind of purposely have like terrain differences to kind of really challenge you on that front. So it's a cozy game, but it's also one that definitely makes you think a little bit because it is a puzzle game. I did enjoy my time with it. My only thing was that I did not have, at least in the demo, like a way to undo some of my actions. Like there was like some, like if you don't establish a track, you can get rid of any tracks that you had placed, but once a train station is established, you can't get rid of it unless you restart the level. So you just so there is like something about having to be careful a little bit about your placement. It's not the end of the world. It's not like they're going to send you back a bunch of levels or anything like that. But definitely one thing that was like noticeable and like maybe a little bit of a gripe for me, but I still love the vibes. It's gorgeous because the levels start out by like being like very dull in its color, but then as you build established places and then have place stations down, and once a building is completely functioning, it lets out this color that like spreads across the map and like completely brings the map to life, and it's like freaking gorgeous. Like it's a very gorgeous game, and I cannot wait to see what the finished product ends up being. Anthony, what about you? What are you super pumped about with Station to Station?
So it's beautiful, and you can zoom in and look at all the little details. And I'm such a sucker for when games like let your actions add color to the world. Love that. Iconic. And yeah, I played the demo as well. I actually soft locked myself in the demo because I was being a little fucky wucky, and I made the track go up and around a mountain because I was like, I want to cover more distance. I want to make these people go really far for the grain. And then the demo was like, all right, put this next track over that mountain. And I'm like, I can't because I already put something there. And they're like, go ahead, put it over the mountain. And they were like calling me out on the fact that I was not listening to instructions. So I only played the demo a little bit. After that, you couldn't reverse it like you mentioned, and yeah, it ended there. But for the time that I did get to play it, it was very nice. I could see it being relaxing. There weren't any resources in the tutorial, at least not that I noticed.
Sure.
But yeah, it's definitely on my watch list for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Speaking of another indie game, let's talk about Human Fall Flat 2. Who the freak knew that this was coming? This was the biggest, I think, surprise of the Summer Game Fest period, at least for me. Well, maybe there's maybe some other ones that were surprising that we'll talk about later, but this game has been out. The first one, Human Fall Flat 1, I think it has been out since 2016. It's a game that us as a friend group, we really bonded over. Myself, Matt, Walsh, Gabe, a couple of other of our friends in our Discord group. A lot of us came together and played this, and it's basically a puzzle platformer with like silly physics where you're human. You are like this like blob of a human that is kind of like moving around, and you control each individual arm to climb up things or just pick up things and move them to the right places and things like that. It was just an incredibly silly game. It's one that we had so much fun with. I've gone back and revisited the game quite a few times, even on my spare time, just to be like, what's happening with this game. It is definitely like one of my favorite like cooperative experiences that I've ever had with a game, and it's just done really, really well. The fact that Devolver, who I trust as an indie publisher, is picking up the sequel and they're reimagining the game a little bit, but still like just being what it is, only completely new and a new engine and stuff. Like I cannot wait for this game. Matt, you said you wanted to talk about this game as well.
It's just a fun puzzle game. Like there was this really I can't think of others, but like things in this vein that are just like fun co-op stuff, kind of Human Fall Flat, kind of Fall Guys, kind of things like that. There's a very like specific niche that's just really fun to play with other people. Portal 2 really falls into this as well. That I love, and I think that the gameplay, the puzzle design is super fun to figure out. And it's just it's fun playing with people. It's fun like figuring out the like physics, how all that works. I just like it. It's a fun time.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's gonna be like when that game launches, I want to try to get as big of a party as we can.
Yeah,
just be like let's just play through all the opening levels. And my big hope is that regardless of how like polished this game gets and like how how much bigger it might end up being, I do hope they still have like Steam Workshop enabled where they allow people to keep on making levels. Not that I would make the levels, but I know there's a lot of creators in the Human Fall Flat space that have made amazing levels that have gone on to like even be like re-released as official levels in the game. Like, so I really hope that they can keep like the modding community intact as well. I would be shocked if that at all went away as well. So yeah, I'm super pumped for it.
Even though I haven't played too much of it, I played it a little bit, like Chris mentioned. But even just watching you guys play is always a blast because it's just ridiculous.
Yeah, it's a very silly, very good time. I can't wait for it. Walsh, you wrote down Marvel's Spider-Man 2. Talk to me about your excitement for that.
I originally played, Spider-Man on the PS4, and it was just a blast. I think it is so strange hearing the voice of Ben 10 now be Spider-Man with, what is it, Yuri Lowenthal?
Yeah,
you get used to it. He plays a very good Spider-Man, and the way that they tell the story, it's very fun, the story, but really the mechanics of moving, fighting, it takes a lot of like the Arkham Asylum that I was talking about last time, but it adds in the just how good it feels to swing between the buildings and go around New York, and the fact that they're bringing into the game the Venom suit and a whole new story. I'm very excited to see where they go.
Yeah, I played the first one last year, and then I went on to play Miles Morales in January. It's a great time. Like, it's one of those games that like a game feels good the moment you like there's a moment in a game that you just realize like, oh, this feels amazing, and that in Spider-Man is the swinging in the open map. Like, swinging around New York is fucking incredible, and that's like that is to me was like I can't wait to get back to that world and keep on swinging around it. I'm curious how much it's going to be different. We saw with something like Tears of the Kingdom where like you don't need a completely new map to make a sequel interesting, and I hope that they kind of take the less. I mean, obviously these games were probably in development at the same time, so how many lessons can you take? But I hope that they know, like, hey, we can keep obviously New York City. You can't really change the map of New York City; it's a real fucking place. But like, if you add some extra layers to it, show how things have changed over time.
Put some islands in the sky, maybe be able to go underground.
Yeah, right, exactly. Just put Staten Island up there. Launch it up to the sky.
Put Staten Island in the sky. That's my mayoral pitch for the next election.
Get it far, far away from the rest of New York City.
And then Staten Island's in the sky, and then the depths opposite is the Bronx.
Yep. Right. Yeah. Just put it underground.
That's just going to the Bronx anyway. I've never been to the Bronx. I'm not allowed to make that joke.
Yeah, we're just taking a shot at the Bronx for no reason. But
actually,
anyways,
honestly, I would reverse it. Staten Island should be the depths.
That's true. I actually agree with that more. Absolutely. But yeah, so like
seal delivered from the resident New Yorkers.
But yeah, like I'm curious of how that all changes. And man, the story, especially with the first game, but also Miles Morales, I think I walked away from Miles Morales not loving it as much as the first one, but I think part of it was just burnout. I played the first one so much and then played Miles Morales, and I was just like, I think I just did not end up loving it as much because I played the other one so soon. But anyways, both stories are fantastic, and I think I can't wait to see what the story in this game is going to be. As someone who tends to not like go for a game because of its story, I think Marvel Spider-Man has a very good, at least very good storytelling. Maybe not so much good writing, because a lot of their writing can sometimes be a little cheesy. But anyways, very excited. Next up, Kelsey.
Ah.
You want to talk about Gourdlets?
I mean, what can be said about Gourdlets?
You were down,
really.
so I mean...
No, but I mean, I just am excited for. I am a complete simp for cozy little farming pixelized community building games. Like huge Stardew fan, huge Animal Crossing fan. You know, and Gourdlets, like they look like if the Among Us characters and Pikmin had a love child.
Yes.
That's what the little Gourdlets look like. And I play neither of those series. I have no interest, but that all changes once Gourdlet comes into play. So I'm going to ask, is there a demo that you played?
Yes, but
right.
you cheated because I told you that I played the demo for you.
I suck because I forgot you told me that. So I was genuinely like asking if you did. So I would love to hear more what you have to say about it, because as I said, I feel very out of my element with this format.
Yeah,
so
no worries.
I don't have a lot more to say other than I think it looks really cute and cozy, and that is pretty much the only thing that is driving me towards gaming at this point.
Yeah, Gourdlets it was an absolute delight. Like basically, you start out with like a you have this blank canvas. You actually have like a train station. You have a little train station that your Gourdlets start arriving at, and what you do is you can just basically build out the land however you see fit. Start placing houses and then just decorate the interior of those houses. It's super simple. I hope that when the game comes out, it's going to end up having a lot more content than it was in the demo. I think it will end up doing that. But it looks fantastic. It's very, very cozy. It's very chill. There's no set goals. It's just like, hey, make this little Gourdlet village of your dreams, and that's it. It's like a little toy box to play around with. And I think that's very neat. I'm looking forward to having Gourdlets as like an option to like go to as like a, hey, I just want to vibe and not do too much thinking. But then granted, then the decision making of decorating will come into play. Then I'm gonna have to put my thinking cap on. But yeah, very good stuff. All right. We had a Nintendo Direct this week. Surprised out of nowhere. I don't think anyone was expecting a Nintendo Direct this June. At least I wasn't. But we got it, and it was an absolute delight. The game of the show for me was WarioWare Move It. This is the second WarioWare game to come out on the Switch after Get It Together a couple years ago. And it's funny with the Switch, I feel like all of my favorite video game franchises, my favorite game of those franchises came out on the Switch. Like with Mario, Kirby, Animal Crossing, Mario Kart, like those I like that. The Switch has just been a absolute goat of a generation for me. And WarioWare Get It Together was good. I wouldn't say it was necessarily like one of my favorite entries, but now they're like, hey, Chris, we got you. We're going to basically make a sequel to Smooth Moves, which was the Wii version, and we're putting it on the Switch, and it's called Move It, WarioWare Move It. And I shat my pants when this happened.
Oh my god.
Our friends Gabe and Ace could attest that when it happened on call, I screamed my head off. I was so excited for this. It looks so stupid, and that's what I want out of a WarioWare. It looks like you're doing the most ridiculous movements the entire time, And I hope that the narrator comes back from Smooth Moves that's like explains the different positions that you have to hold, but with the most ridiculous descriptions possible. I hope they call the Switch controllers the form batons or something like they did with the Smooth Moves. They are also bringing back like a party game element where you could play a local multiplayer like you could with Smooth Moves. Like it is insane that this game exists. I cannot believe it. I'm just so happy. And Anthony, you too are very excited about this.
Absolutely. I love WarioWare. I think I only played WarioWare Touched, but I just love like the meeting place of games that you do very quickly with little to no explanation, and the weirdness and the humor and like the mastery of it too. I think that those games are such fun little packages of mini games.
Yeah.
And I'm excited for it. I hope that I don't accidentally kick Barnaby when they have me doing all that silly, wacky shit moving around the room. But that aside, I think it has a lot of potential.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And I am so glad to see it, because when the other WarioWare game came out for Switch, I'm like, this is it. This is the Mario game that we get for the Switch generation. And I was really not thrilled with it, as you may remember.
Yeah.
So to see like a return to form for them just makes me really happy.
That's my thing too. Like, and again, I personally didn't hate Get It Together. It was just more so like there is a joy about being like not having to control a character in the WarioWare franchise. You were the character. You were the one being put in these random situations and having to deal with them in like 5 or 7 seconds. Like, and like that, there was a joy about that. Controlling these little characters with Get It Together was just a bit awkward and sometimes didn't quite work the way you wanted it to. And I got a little frustrated with that. So the fact that it is nuts to me that we're getting 2 WarioWare games on the console, but we're at least getting one that I think is really going to speak to what WarioWare has always been about, which is like using the console's technology well and implementing something that is so silly, so off the wall, but once again putting you in the shoes as the hero of this WarioWare story. So super pumped about that.
All right, everyone, group Wah. 1, 2, 3. Wow.
Very good. Very good. Matt, I am actually coming to you first for our next game. Super Mario Bros. Wonder. This was another of the many bigger games announced during the Direct. It is the first time we're getting a Mario in a mainline 2D Mario in 11 years. Fucking wild.
That's a lot of years.
Yeah.
The launch of the Wii U was the last time we got a brand new one, not a port.
Right. Or like something that wasn't Mario Maker, essentially.
Right, yeah. I am obviously a Mario fan. I'm a platformer fan. I far prefer 3D Mario games to 2D. It's just I like those games better, and that's what I grew up on. So, enjoy those types of games more, the 3D more. That said, Wonder looks really nice. I really like the art style. The elephant power-up is super cute.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be good. I'm excited to just play a 2D Mario for a bit. Probably just beat it and not do much else from after that. But
yeah,
because I think the only 2D Mario game I've ever 100%ed was New Super Mario Bros. On the DS.
Okay, yeah,
and I played the shit out of that one.
Yeah, that's good.
But in general, definitely prefer 3D. But I'm excited to see 2D.
Yeah, I'm in the same exact boat as you, where I'm like, I love like there are some 2D like Mario platformers that I do love. Like I love Super Mario World. And I know people don't count it as a Mario platformer, but like Yoshi's Island is like one of my favorite games ever. And and
you mean Super Mario World 2 Yoshi's Island is
right.
not Mario?
Well, right. Well, yeah, people have debates about that, but yeah, I yeah, pretty much. But there's something that I love. But generally speaking, like, I will take any of the 3D Mario games over the 2D Mario games. That's just that's a personal take, but Super Mario Bros. Wonder, though, is exactly the direction where I'd want a 2D Mario to go, where it's Absolutely. Like, hey, let's get weird. Let's have a lot of wild things happening in these levels. Let's have let's have you focus on like collecting things instead of having things collecting things and having these powers instead of it being like super obstacle heavy. I'm sure it'll still be, but like I just can't wait to play around with these worlds, and the fact that it gets as trippy as it does with that one like wonder fruit or whatever it's called, and like that the pipes start going up and down and wiggling around like caterpillars and things like that. Like, it just gets absolutely nuts, and that's the kind of stuff that appeals to me. I am a gimmick person. Give me a good gimmick, and I'll latch onto it and get very excited about it. So yeah, super pumped about Super Mario Bros. Wonder. Okay. Next up, Walsh, you want to talk about Lorelai and the laser eyes.
I mean, yeah, I really don't know what to say. I know very little about it, but it just looks cool. That's the hard thing, right? It's like, oh, this looks cool. And it's like,
yeah,
all right, that's it. It looks like it's going to be a lot of mystery, a lot of puzzle solving. I'm excited. It looks great.
Yeah.
I like the art style of it. That's really it.
Yeah, so this is the same team that made Sayonara Wild Hearts, which came out a couple years ago. That's one of my favorite games I've ever played as well. And this looks very different. The art style is a little similar, but this seems like it's gonna be more of like a mystery puzzler, like you said. And we don't know much about it. I will say, depending on when this episode comes out, Annapurna, who is the publisher for this game, is having a showcase next week. And so by the time you listen to this, you might have already seen like more details about this game that we don't know about. But at least for right now, as of like the one trailer that they released last year or whatever it was, I'm super excited. I think I just trust Smogo, I want to say they're called, the developer. I trust them. I trust whatever they're going to do next. And yeah, it looks like it's going to be like black and white, a little like just a very mysterious atmosphere, unique characters. It's going to be fun to dive deep into it. All right. We're going to take a quick break from the mid-seg. Or from or rather, we're gonna take a break from the main us talking about games to go to the mid seg. Apologies, and we're going to we're going to make a console, Walsh.
All right, so for the middle segment, I had you guys a bit similar to when we did the Mario movie prediction. I had each of you write me a segment on what the next big gaming console is going to be like. Instead of last time, where you all sent in your text and then I read them, just cold, and had to react to them as they came in. We're each going to read out our own sections. However, I also sent a section to Gabe, who unfortunately could not be here, but I will be reading his section. All right, is everybody ready?
Yeah.
Now, each of you, of course, I wrote out different parts, so I'll kind of segue you in with what part I gave you to describe, and then you can go off. I have not read anybody's. So first, I asked Gabe, what will the controller look like? Gabe said the controller will look like the head of a Triton, able to be held with all three prongs at once. And, if you have a third arm, that'd be great. Buttons will be color-coded after the three primary colors, alongside green, the most sensitive joystick imaginable. Small missed input, and that thing will send you careening off of cliff sides frame 0. That is how Gabe described it.
So an N64 controller.
That did not hit me that quickly. did not process that. That's funny.
All right, next up we have Anthony, who's going to describe the display or the screen or screens.
So what's cool about the screens for this console is that you step inside of them. It arrives, right? And they have to airdrop it into your house because it's a 10-foot by 10-foot ball of LCD screens. And they go into this little, like, track so that you can't run around and, like, inside. You can run inside of it without it actually moving around your house. But you open up this, like, door, right? And the door is 2 feet by 2 feet. And you go into the display orb, aka the Dorb. And the entire area around you inside of it is then the game world. And as you control your character, you can also, like, the Dorb moves to simulate real motion.
Mm.
Mm.
All right. After that, we have, with a description of the actual console itself and its aesthetic, the look of it, we have Chris.
Okay. So initially, I wrote that this console was going to be 6 inches, 15 centimeters tall. So I guess we'll just cross that off the record.
Well, you can attach it to the Dorb, right?
Sure. Comes in coral and purple colors, made out of fake fur with big ears, and has dazzling shiny eyes. And it has a built-in speaker you could speak into, and it responds in either English or Furbish.
Wow.
Furbish.
That's funny. I thought you were going down the Furby route as you were describing it. Beautiful.
That's actually I literally pulled that from a Furby Amazon listing. So,
so Matt, what kind of games can we expect on this console?
All right, so this is gonna have so many games. However, there's one stipulation: they're all farming sims.
Fuck.
Now listen. I know what you're thinking. That sounds really boring. Well, here's the thing: they're all farming sims, but you can play in the farming sims. Like, each game has a farming sim to, like, start you out, and as you farm things, you farm different aspects of the game. You farm different platforms, you farm different levels, you farm different power-ups that'll help you complete those levels that you yourself farmed. Give me a game genre. I'll tell you how that works.
First person shooter.
First person shooter. You farm the guns, you farm the zombies, you farm your opponents.
Visual novel.
Visual novel. You farm the people you date. You farm the words themselves.
Mm.
I'm impressed by the on-the-fly
it's all farming.
situation.
It's all farming.
Yeah.
You want a farming simulator? You farm Here's the thing: you farm the aspects of a farming simulator.
Whoa!
And it's all in this big spacious room.
It's all in this big spacious room. Works out perfectly. You farm your own games. Now, like, each game, like, will have different farming simulator aspects to it. Like, one will be more Stardew, one will be more Harvest Moon, one will be more whatever the fuck got released on the Switch like a year and a half ago.
Fair enough.
Farming.
Okay. And then finally, I have Kelsey, who's going to list off our extra features that this console can do.
I just want to preface this by saying that I thought we were, like, literally pitching to a board, so the tone of mine is a little bit more intense than everybody else's. So
I don't know what you're talking about.
Okay, all right.
I think all of us are taking this very seriously. How dare you?
And not only can it do all that, this hyper-futuristic next-gen console will release with a gold tier edition for an additional $4,725.99. For this premium cost, the console will be inlaid with 10-karat gold features, instantly upgrading your gaming space. It can also file your taxes at the state level and only for residents of Florida, and can perform genetic testing on up to 4 unique user profiles. This genetic testing will be able to match you with the games of your interest based on your genetic makeup. Don't worry, we have a diversity and inclusion team prioritizing this project. We are also proud to announce our partnership with the CDC WHO or WHO, and FDA on an exclusive software upgrade that will also test for genetic markers for certain life-threatening diseases. At this time, the console can only test for predispositions to eyelid retraction disorder in white males between the ages of 17 and 17 and a half, but future updates will roll out. Be sure to download our Gold tier console exclusive app titled Say Gold Ponyboy on the Apple, Android, and Google marketplaces to remain notified for future announcements.
Beautiful.
Wow.
That's great. Guys, now that we've all heard about how we need to buy this console, what do you guys think we should name this console? I'm thinking like the Gold Sphere, the Ponyboy.
I like the Ponyboy. I feel like that at least. Although, what was it? Gorb? What the fuck did Anthony say before?
Dorb.
Sorry.
The Pony Dorb.
Better, still a better console name than the Ouya.
The Dorb Furby 3.0.
The Nintendo Revolution.
The Virtual Boy. Are we gonna just agree to any of this? Like,
I guess so.
The rectal thermometer.
That's it. That's the name.
Let's post a poll on Twitter and see which ones people want.
Okay. All right.
Vote for rectal thermometer.
All right. You'll have to remind me of the choices that we've chosen. Although, granted, are polls still available for non-Twitter Blue users?
No, God damn it.
You only need Twitter Blue if you're going to vote on Twitter policy.
Okay, great. Great. Just making sure that's totally stable. All right.
Actually, let me check.
I guess it's worth looking into.
Yeah, you can do it.
All right, cool. Just making sure. All right. Well, there you go. We made a video game console,
guys.
Definitely more successful than the fucking Intellivision Amico or whatever the fuck it's called. What are you gonna say, Matt or Walsh?
Would you guys buy it?
No.
Mayhaps.
I have a super edition just to submit fluid samples.
I need to understand its exclusives. Like what farming sims what brand of farming sims.
Here's the thing, they're all gonna be exclusive.
Yeah. It's true, but I just meant more like, is it something that already speaks to me on that front?
You farm.
It's a very good question.
You just farm all the time. All right. Well, there you go. That is our console. You can when we start our Patreon, we'll have that be a stretch goal for us. That's Kickstarter. Never mind. Anyways, let's move on. We will, Kelsey. You and I are gonna have a bit here to talk about two games. All right, let's go. Let's do Jusant. This is a climbing game that has a cute little water friend that you are that you're carrying around. I also played the demo for this, and it's neat. It looks like as you're climbing, you're gonna get a little bit of story about the world and why it is the way it is at the moment. It does feel like in general, things are a bit like wild about the world. Things are not normal, and you kind of learn about why it is that in the case, why it is in the situation that it is in by reading the various journals that you read along the way. It very much. It has some. Someone tried to describe it as like it could be like a Team Eco game, which that's this developer behind Shadow of the Colossus and Eco and the last what is it called, Last Guardian. But yeah, I think it's neat from when I played. Kelsey, you're into the idea of climbing?
Yeah, I mean, some of my favorite games have that as a main element of the gameplay, like Horizon and God of War, Tears of the Kingdom and Breath of the Wild. So, you know, on a much smaller scale, Animal Crossing New Horizons.
Sure, with a ladder, you climb a ladder occasionally.
Yeah, occasionally, or like a vine if you're feeling a little spicy or whatever.
Yeah. But, shade it up, you know.
Yeah, exactly. So, but on a serious note, I thought that this just looked very. I think the thing that's drawing me into it mostly is meditative. in a lot of the descriptors for it. They keep using the term meditative. I think that their intention is for this to be very very almost like healing and intentional. And so in that reason, it kind of reminds me of like a short hike as well. Like I felt like that was a very intentional and almost like healing experience to play that game. Like it just was very much that you had a specific goal. It's not like that in many ways, but I'm getting like a similar intent from it. And so I'm just looking forward. Again, I'm very much, for the love of God, I just need something to bring me out of my reality. So I just need cozy spaces with deliberate intention that feel good. And this feels that way. And I do not yet have a name for the organism or the entity itself, but that little fucking cutie in the backpack is going to send me over the edge.
Yeah.
It literally looks like something that would get stuck in the front of like a toothpaste thing and like get dried there, and you have to wedge it out to use your toothpaste if you lost the cap. It literally looks like that. It does. I'm sorry. That's what it looks like to me. And so I believe that he's minty fresh and is my little friend, and I'm excited.
Absolutely. Definitely. It describes itself as like an action adventure game, which I'm like, when's the action gonna show up? Because I hope never, because I do think as a climbing experience, it's very cool. And I would just like it to just be a climbing game where you learn a story and you're kind of just keep on going. A lot of cool elements, like you also like can like propel downward and swing yourself up. Very, very interesting game. I'm very curious about it. It's from the people that made the first Life is Strange, so they're very much in their bag with different types of video games now. So very cool. Ollie Frog Toad Skater.
Oh yeah.
This is a indie game where it is made by. This is because it's made by one guy, and you look at it and you're like, "Yep, this is definitely an indie game," but it feels fantastic. A few years ago, there was a game called Skatebird that came out, and this is not to disparage Skatebird, but that game just did not feel quite to my liking. And I'm like, man, it would be cool if we could get another animal on a skateboard and have it feel good. And let me tell you, Ollie Frog Toad Skater, I played another. We should have a sound bite for every single time I bring up that I played the demo for the fucking game. But anyways, I did play a demo for Ollie Frog Toad Skater. It feels fantastic. And I just cannot wait. Like it feels very good to play. The learning the tricks and stuff is gonna take like some getting used to, like just like to understanding all the mechanics, but for what it is and what it is trying to like kind of portray, it's very much like obviously taking after Tony Hawk Pro Skater, no shit. And it is very much like, hey, can you help me collect all these floating watermelons? And you just go and you go through the pipes and you are just tricking off the pipes trying to reach the watermelons. And there's no time limit. They just want you to get the watermelons, and you do it, and it's fantastic. And it's just a good time. You collect things and you trick, and you are just this cool frog that you could customize in a variety of different colors and props and stuff, and you can earn props as you play as well. Kelsey, you and I love SSX, and we've been dying for some kind of game that is reminiscent of our times playing with that. Maybe this will be it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not holding my breath.
Sure, fair enough.
I'm very excited for this, but I'm also afraid, kind of like Starfield.
Yeah, fair.
It looks so cute and I want it to be so good. I just don't know if it's quite going to do that for us, but I hope that it does.
Yeah, fair enough. I do actually want to try Tony Hawk Pro Skater, that new remake that was made a couple years ago. I just had not touched it because I was sick and tired of Activision's bullshit. But
amen.
But I now that I didn't have to pay any money for it and I could just download it, I'm like, all right, maybe I might as well give it a shot. So we'll see. I'll get back to you on that. Anthony, you want to talk about a game called Pacific Drive?
Yeah. So this game is a first-person game where you drive around what I'm assuming is the Pacific Northwest. And it's kind of like storms and weird weather conditions. And you have this car that you upgrade, and it's based on like things that you dismantle and scrap out there in the storm. And from what they've shown so far, there's also an element of like choosing specific upgrades that will help you better handle specific conditions that you experience along the way. And I have a soft spot in my heart for games that revolve around a vehicle that you upgrade, especially in horrible weather situations. After playing Choo Choo Charles earlier this year, which was just such an incredible game. So I'm looking forward to that. I'm not sure if this has as many overt horror elements or if it's just more of like a survival kind of thing, but it looks good.
Yeah, it looks like a thriller more than anything. Like more just like you're trying to like you're just avoiding the elements more than anything else. I don't think it's meant to be like jump scare stuff, but yeah. Super cool. Looks great. It's being only thing I know about this game outside of the trailers and some discussions I've seen is the publishing is being done by Pop Agenda, which is another one of those companies that I'm like, if a Pop Agenda is associated with it, I trust whatever game they're working on.
Literally thought that the first time you said Pop Agenda, I thought you were gonna say Papa John's.
No,
and I was like, what the actual shit?
No, Papa John's, I would not trust a single game made by Papa John's.
Right, that's why I was like, what?
Not in a million years. I don't even trust their own pizza. So, Walsh.
Not a sponsor.
Not a sponsor. Absolutely not. We even if you ask to sponsor us, we're not taking your fucking money.
Fuck you, Papa John.
Fuck you. Anyways, Walsh,
I'll take Papa John's money.
All right, fair enough.
Walsh just like whatever pays the bills. Like I'm fine with that.
That's fair. That's completely fair. Walsh, I actually brought this up to you recently. Alien Hominid Evasion. I always don't know how to pronounce the middle word.
Alien Hominid.
But this is the game from Behemoth, a developer that you have enjoyed games from.
Yes, they've created Castle Crashers, they created Battle Block Theater. Alien Hominid is a game that they had previously made quite a while ago. In fact, you may even still be able to find it on Newgrounds, but it looks like they have not only just completely remastered it, but they've changed the way that the health system works, so it's no longer you're shot once and you die. Made the game very difficult, but also just not as fun to play. So not only do you have a health bar now, but you are able to play it with a lot of other players. You're able to play co-op, and a lot of the time, if I'm going to sit down and play something, I like it to be something that I can sit and play with friends. The fact that this already has so many elements visually and so many details that I already enjoy, and a lot of the stupid humor that Behemoth comes to bring to the table, I'm very excited for this game.
Hell yeah.
I just want to add that I played the original Alien Hominid on PS2. It was really fucking difficult.
It is.
I kept dying at the Soviet Union level where you fight a boss who literally has the hammer and the sickle. I was like, whatever, man, I'm going to play something else.
Exactly. It kind of just takes you out of it, which is why I'm glad that they are opting for an actual health bar, and you can actually play it with friends as well, where I think that was one of the best things about games like Castle Crashers that focused on you could play it yourself, but you could play it co-op with up to 4 people. You could revive each other. You could fight for, glory, with one another at the end of the level. And then you had Battle Block Theater, which I don't think I've talked about on the channel before, but it was a completely cooperative game. So to be able to take those parts of the game where you play with your friends and go back to this game, I'm very excited to really sit down and play with other people.
Yeah, I think that I would play this too.
Nice. Matt, you want to talk not a full-fledged game, you want to talk about some DLC for your game of the year last year, Pokemon Scarlet and Violet.
Yeah, so obviously I am a Game Freak shill. But I'm really excited for the Scarlet and Violet DLC. I really enjoyed what they did with Sword and Shield, and I thought that they were really good additions onto the base game. and Scarlet and Violet was a better overall game than Sword and Shield was. So I am hopeful that the DLC will kind of follow suit. Just 2 different kind of side stories around different kind of legendary Pokemon, get some new fun lore and stuff. I'm assuming it'll be relatively similar to how it was done before. There's two kind of different stories that will be involved with it. You buy them together, but they're separate from each other. I really like the kind of the new Pokemon focus. The main thing that I think I'm excited about is the from a competitive Pokemon angle. It brings a good number of Pokemon back, and it will change up what gets used in the metagame. So that's always fun. I always enjoy when that happens.
A refresh.
Adds new toys to play with, kind of. But yeah, I really enjoyed the Sword and Shield DLC. I thought Isle of Armor and Crown Tundra were both just fun extra adventures, and these new ones they're called. I don't even know what they're fucking called. One's the Indigo Disc. One is the someone with a mask. Mask one's first. Yeah, I just enjoy. I enjoy the. I enjoy Scarlet and Violet a lot. More Pokemon is never a bad thing, and I will probably continue only playing Final Fantasy XIV and Tears of the Kingdom until those come out. But
fair enough, totally fair, understandable. Kelsey,
yes,
tell me about Sopa.
That is a good question. So Sopa, again, this is me pulling these games off of my list that's called games I want to play, I guess.
Sure.
From watching all of the shows that were recently aired. So Sopa appeared to be a game where you were playing as a young boy who is in the care of his grandmother. And it looks like an adventure game. I don't recall a lot of details about it. I think it was during Cozy Game Fest, and they go through them so quickly. I did rewatch it's been a long week. I did watch.
It's okay.
I did rewatch the trailer, but it's only like a minute long. Ultimately, anything that has to do with a grandma brings me to my fucking knees. Like I can't handle it. In like the best way and in a way that makes me want to handle it. So it looks like it's his grandmother. Sopa is the Spanish word for soup. And it looks like a lot of the narrative revolves around the fact that the grandmother is at the stove making a soup, and she asks the grandson to have like lunch with her or something. But the grandson keeps winding up in these adventures in what looks like a fantasy world where there's like anthropomorphic animals, and it has to do with like storytelling. It looks like it might have to do with like legend, because there's at one point they show like a wolf eating a scorpion, and I'm almost certain that there's some sort of like legendary story about that's like a mystical story. So I don't know, it looks to me like they're lending themselves to speaking about, it's like the boy on adventures that look like they are fantasized, possibly relating to like family history or culture, and thematically revolving around his grandmother's soup. And as somebody who grew up with a beloved grandmother who was always in the kitchen, and I own a lot of like her recipes and family stories, that just is a very touching narrative for me. And so I'm very much looking forward to seeing what this looks at. Like, was there a demo?
No.
Okay.
I cannot speak for this, but I will say the Steam description is very short and to the point. Sopa is an emotional narrative adventure about the things we pass along.
Okay, so exactly what I just said, already going to make me cry.
Yeah.
I did not think to look at the Steam page for some reason, but I don't know. And the art style, it is a little different than anything that I've seen. Almost looks like sort of like claymation-y, a little rough around the edges, but like beautiful. Looks like they use a lot of rich color, and again, I feel like it's definitely going to touch on family culture, and like you said, things that we pass down. So and the fact that they say emotional just means that I'm gonna need some Kleenex, a sponsor.
It's also inspired by Miyazaki, Coco, and The Little Prince, which that is a
fuck me.
Yeah, quite a fucking collection right there. That is an intense collection.
Yeah, it
right
is.
There. So there you go. I am gonna talk about an indie game called Beastieball. This is from the creators of two of my favorite games ever, Chicory Colorful Tale and Wandersong. Beastieball is essentially Pokemon but sports. It is basically you are finding these little creatures called beasties, and you are going around and challenging either the wild the wild creatures, or you are challenging other teams out there to a game of Beastieball, which is essentially volleyball. It is completely turn-based RPG, so you do have like a set of moves that you have, that each one does like each move that you have at your disposal will do different things and will set you up for different positions in the game. You can do things that are defensive, that make sure that the ball doesn't touch the ground, and make sure that your players don't lose a ton of HP. And of course, you could do things that are more offensive, that are more aggressive. Bringing your beasties to the front of the net and spiking the ball so that way it can deal extra damage to to the other team, or at least scoring a point in some capacity. It looks fantastic. It is by it is the entirely the same team as Wandersong and Chicory. So that includes music from Lena Raine, who I will just continue to herald as one of the best indie composers that we've seen out there, and who's also done stuff for like games as big as Minecraft at this point. And of course so the art for the different creatures are just absolutely delightful. As someone who's not big on turn-based RPG stuff, I was at first not like, I didn't get super excited about the concept, because it's just not something that usually speaks to me. I've only just gotten into Pokemon in recent times. So I did end up playing a demo for this. He said the thing, and then I enjoyed what I played, and I think that it's going to be interesting to see how it evolves, how the environments evolve, how the story, what the story ends up being. Like, you kind of get the sense already, like, of what the challenge is going to be. Like the sanctuary that a lot of where you were living nearby is being torn down to build a stadium, and you're trying to stop that from happening. And so I can already tell that they're going to try to hit a lot of story beats that are just going to speak to me in some way. So yeah, I'm super excited about this. And again, anything that team makes I trust with all my heart. Wishes Unlimited, of course, is the name of the developer, the new name. They didn't have an actual formal name before. It was just the main, the lead guy, Greg Lobanoff, that his name was always at the front. Now it's the full team is called Wishes Unlimited. So I'm glad that they actually have a formal developer name that we can refer to them as. Anthony, you want to talk about Wayfinder?
Yes, I do. So Wayfinder is an MMO that's coming out by Airship Syndicate, who created Ruined King, which was the League of Legends adaptation. It was made in a similar way to Battle Chasers Night War. And what I really loved about the game was the visual style was incredible. The combat was pretty involved, but you could also, put it on autopilot if you wanted. The writing was funny. The side quests were interesting and unique. And the world just had so much to go do and see. And they were optional areas as well, which I think really complements an RPG. But anyway, back to Wayfinder. It's sort of in the style of WildStar. The previous game director of WildStar endorsed the project, even though he's not involved in it, and he said, "This is WildStar 2.0." And the visual style really kind of lends itself to that. The gameplay style, it's a third-person hero-based looter. I'd say looter shooter, but some of the people you play as use melee combat. And it's being published by Digital Extremes. I think this is one of the first games published by Digital Extremes, who are known as the developers of Warframe. And I think what's so important is that Warframe's monetization model is really, really good. And it has been for the entire time that Warframe is out. You know, in the era of the loot box and the microtransaction, Warframe offers things that you can buy to speed up your progress. You know, if you don't want to wait for something to be crafted, you can just speed it up. You can trade things with other players for money, or you can spend it on cosmetics, and that's really it. You know, you can't gain an advantage by other people. You really just speed up whatever you're doing if you want to pay into it. So I trust it. You know, it's being made by a capable team with great oversight, and it looks like it's going to be fun. You get to go on quests and dungeons and all that fun stuff. What influencers have said about it so far, it seems like it could use more content. But the dev team has said that they plan on building on it over time. So I think it's something to keep an eye out for.
I forgot that we had the discussion about that this was WildStar 2.0. That's super exciting.
Yeah.
Yeah. Kelsey, we return to you. So nervous. There's not, to be fair though, like there is not a ton to say about this one, but it just looked neat. South of Midnight.
Yeah, I forget which show showcased this. I want to say it might have been the Xbox show. But again, it speaks to something that I think that for a really long time we were sorely missing in the gaming space, and that was different culture, different stories from different cultures being shared in the space of gaming. And this, so far, what it looks like they are showing is a mysticism tale out of what looks like the Bayou. Looks like it might be inspired by like deep Creole culture, Louisiana. So I find stories from that area of the country to be deeply compelling. A lot of my favorite books have been from that area. So I'm very much looking forward to whatever story they're looking to tell with this. I think that it looks visually very cool, like very cool. There's something about it that almost reminds me a little bit of Sea of Thieves in the art style, but on a much more detailed level. And then the monsters and creatures that they were showing in the trailer. Again, the trailer is only 2.5 minutes, and you would think that they would show you a lot with that. But I think 2 whole minutes is her walking up to a man playing a banjo or a guitar on a dock. So like a lot of it is her just like walking up to this person. But the person themselves are very evidently something otherworldly, humanoid in nature, but also somewhat decrepit and has a very specific air to them. So I recommend everybody watch the trailer. It doesn't look like we were given a lot of information on it. I did not go to Steam or to the game page and look up any more information. I don't know, Chris, if you have that info, but
I could pull it up real quick if you
it
want.
says in the description of the video, it says Compulsion brings out a stop motion trailer for its upcoming South of Midnight. Our protagonist is searching for a huge sneaky creature in the bayou and busts out magic. South of Midnight has no release date, but will be coming out to Game Pass.
That's interesting to me when you say stop motion. That means like they're literally doing like photography and shit.
Like, the art style looks incredible, and the visuals, like when I tell you that they like the detail, when I say it kind of reminded me of Game of Thrones, of Sea of Thieves, but then like more highly detailed, the way that they have the light tracking for the moonlight on and hitting off of the gentleman who's playing the instrument, hitting off of his skin where you see the details and the wrinkles and the cuticles and the chipped nails and the ring that he's wearing, like, and the textures on the guitar, like it was visually so incredible just in the trailer to like see that I picked it out right away as being very special for the whatever they're doing with the animation. I don't necessarily have the technical side, the language of it to really know, but stop motion does make a lot of sense. But even like there was a crow at one point in it, and like anything with a crow, pretty much I'm there. Like I just fucking love crows.
I just enjoy
so yeah, so I'm just pasting a brief screenshot from the trailer since I had it open, but just so cool looking. The entire vibe for the trailer, like the guy is playing the guitar and you don't really realize at first that something's a little off with him, but then as you get closer, he literally looks like he's almost an embodiment of the swamp that he's playing the guitar at on the dock, where like this little baby possum in the picture, I just literally just like crawls up his leg, like it lives there, like it lives in his pants. Very interesting. But
yeah,
it definitely, like, he at one point he looks up at the camera and like part of his face is missing. Like it's just very, very eerie, but very clearly going to be extremely rich in storytelling. And that is to me what is most compelling about gaming. I always am a sucker for anything that has a really deep story.
Yeah, 100%. Let's talk about Bits and Bops. This is a game that was very much this was like revealed, I want to say last year or 2 years ago during a wholesome mini. They've been doing like these wholesome direct mini showcases during December. This year I've been documenting mainly on Twitter that I have discovered Rhythm Heaven for the very first time, and because I fell in love with it so much, I played through the 3DS game first, and then I went back and played through every entry, including the Japan exclusive game. I just fell in love with the franchise completely, and I love me a game that is all about these smaller rhythm experiences that it's not so much you're trying to hit like it's not like a Guitar Hero where you are watching as like the color is coming towards you and you have to hit the color right as it aligns with like whatever line at the bottom there is. Like it's nothing like that. You are actually mainly listening to the song and you're listening to sound cues of when to hit the buttons that you're told to hit. And there's something that's incredibly fun about that, especially given the variety of situations that you're put in with Rhythm Heaven. Bits and Bops is very clearly inspired by this. They are going to have 20 different mini games throughout the game that is that gives you a variety of different scenarios from this cat taking a photo of a seal playing with a beach ball to looking at a manual and the manual comes to life and you're trying to place nails down to the beat and hit your hammer to the beat. There's these like beavers that are riding on a minecart and you have to make sure that you're hitting when they go where they jump and or it's not a minecart. It's one of those things where it's very cartoony where it's the thing in the middle where one person goes up and the other goes down and then they keep on doing that over and over again. I don't know what that's called. But essentially you're doing that to the beat. You're ice skating with like these cute bears. Like there's just a variety of different types of scenarios that these characters get put in. And you're just syncing up with the music. Another one that I played a demo of and I very much enjoyed it. And it reminds me of Rhythm Heaven, and I just cannot wait for it. In a world where we do not have a Rhythm Heaven, the team that would be working on that is working on all these WarioWare games. I would love to see the indie space continue to make a lot of strides in bringing a Rhythm Heaven like game back. And Bits of Bops seems like it is doing exactly that. They're going they even have gone as far as promising that they're going to do remixes, which in Rhythm Heaven is essentially a compilation of all the mini games, and you play all the games to like one song. And those are some of the most hype things ever. And one of the main reasons I fell in love with Rhythm Heaven in the first place. So just super exciting. I'm not super like, I don't know if Temple Lab Games, which is the developer, I don't know if they've done anything else before this point, but it just looks gorgeous, the visuals, and I just cannot wait to get my hands on it further. So yeah, that's Bits and Bops. Kelsey, returning to you.
I put so many fucking things on this list. Oh, it's all right. It's Elder Scrolls 6. I'm just being annoying at this point. I am so fucking tired of Bethesda's shit. And that's it, really. I understand that they're giving us Starfield, and that's fine. But I also am like, in the freaking depositions that have been happening, 5+ years. Come on, guys.
Yeah.
Come on. Like, you know what's really frustrating me, ultimately, is that poor little Skyrim grandma that's been waiting so long for this game to come out. She's going to die. Like, I don't want that to happen, but like, they're taking too long.
Do it for the grandma.
Do it for the grandma.
She did an interview where she's like officially over Skyrim. She's like, I'm bored of it.
Yeah, so they need to. I mean, I paid her to say that, but I need them to hurry the fuck up and get this done for Skyrim Grandma.
Yeah,
I'm gonna start a petition, and I'm gonna ruin their lives.
The thing, it's such a bummer, and obviously in the world that we're in now, games are just taking longer to make in general. Where, like, you need at the very least 5 years to make a big time AAA game. It would be nice if some of these companies use some of the resources to, like, I obviously, like, I know that this is it's short-sighted, and we don't know, we only know what we've heard from on the outside of it, but like, I just look at something like Insomniac, who has multiple teams that they're able to make these AAA amazing experiences, and I know it's hard to have a company be split like that and make a game that's like Starfield, or an Elder Scrolls. But I hope that Microsoft explores doing something similar and hire more people, man. Like, look at all the layoffs that have been fucking happening everywhere. Have these teams be built out even more, and have it so that way you can release that level of game with that much of polish, and hopefully not crunching people. But I know that unfortunately happens inevitably. But like, hopefully you could get like games that hopefully you can have higher talent and really make it so that way, hey, we're not waiting what's going to end up being like 16 years until we get a Fallout 5. You know what I mean? Like, like just figure out a way so that way it give people the ability to work on things, like work on projects like that, and hopefully then you can also crank out more games in general. So yeah, we'll see. I only got
grandma.
Yeah, think of the grandma. I'll go quick here. I have 3 more games I wanted to just bring up. The Plucky Squire looks incredible. It's another game from Devolver Digital that is what basically looks like it is you start off in like you're a 2D character in a book, and eventually you can pop out of the book and you are 3D and walking around an environment, and it's one of those little guys, big world type thing that I'm an absolute sucker for. It looks great. I think it might be like a Zelda-like game. It says here, storybook characters discover a 3-dimensional world outside the pages of their book and must jump between 2D and 3D realms to save their friends in this charming action adventure. It reminds me, there's a lot of different gameplay elements that they include. Like, there's a punch-out segment, there's like a rhythm segment, but there is the mechanic of jumping between 2D and 3D reminds me a lot of like A Link Between Worlds and other games that have kind of played around with the idea of like, hey, you're walking around 3D, and then all of a sudden you can like, plaster yourself into a something and be 2D or whatever. It just looks incredibly charming. I can't wait to get my hands on it. Next month we're getting a game called Viewfinder, which is really mind-bending game where you take these photos and you place them in this world and they become to life and you can walk into them. It is really, really impressive. Another one for the demo counter. I did play this one and it does
demo counter.
Yeah, it does. It does control well and look incredible. And I'm just super excited to see what ends up how the full adventure is going to be. There does seem to be some sort of narrative attached to it, so we'll see if that's interesting enough. But definitely, just the mechanic of placing photos and being able to walk into them and explore those worlds is just really cool. And then, of course, you're taking those photos too, so you could take a photo, place it down, and it recreates the world you just took a photo of in a really cool way. And it's a first person puzzle game, so it speaks to the people who love games like Portal and The Witness and all that stuff. And finally, Wood and Weather. I just, the way I would describe this game is that, imagine did anyone here have those Thomas the Tank Engine play sets growing up?
Yeah,
because it basically looks like that. Only you are basically this god. This is a god game. At least that's how Steam describes it. Well, actually, though, they actually describe it in their description as well. And you are this sentient large hand that is looming over this cute, colorful village, and you are just helping the various villagers that are living in this town. It is a single-player god game set in a wooden toy city. Make friends and control the weather as an eternal, blue hand in a surprising little open world. Ethereal, thank you. I'm like, I am definitely not pronouncing that right. But yes, and basically, depending on what the weather is and what you change the weather, new objectives open up, and you can help them. You can help the villagers deal with snow and deal with the wind and things like that. But of course, there's just even normal things like, hey, I'm stuck in this place. Can you help me out? Or I need coffee. Can you give that to me? Or they'll probably not even say coffee. There's maybe more they are like, hey, I'm building a snowman, but I think it's missing something. And you realize oh, it's missing its nose. I had to go find a carrot farm, pluck a carrot, and then bring it back. It just looks fantastic. And again, demo counter. Boop, boop. I played.
We have a sound effect now.
Oh, I have to, right? Because I've done it so many fucking times. But this is another one that I tried and I absolutely fell in love with. And it definitely speaks to me on the level of hey, I like simulation games where I'm in control of everything, and there's no pressure with anything that's happening in it, and you're doing things that help build out a story with the town and build out what you're doing as the god in this game. And I just think that's really, really neat. So I cannot wait to play it. It is coming soon. No set release date on that yet. And that's it. We did it.
We did it.
We got through it. There's obviously there's so many games I could go on about, but I don't want to spend a whole podcast where I'm the only one talking ultimately. But anyways, I'm sure there's a lot of other games that we haven't mentioned as a group that we are looking forward to. But it is a very good year for video games, and next year looks also like it's going to be very good. So we're just eating good if you're a video game player. Next month, I haven't thought about this. So if you missed it last episode, we talked about that we're doing a reboot for the Coop, and so our season finale is going to be next month. And I think, and I'm not confident about this yet, but I would like to talk about what is your favorite game of all time?
Wow, that's hard.
Well,
yeah, I mean, and I know I realize that we're gonna be bringing up games that we have already talked about, but that's fine. I feel like it's a good way to sum up season 1 of the Coop in that way.
You know what, Chris? I agree with you.
Yeah, exactly.
Doesn't happen a lot.
Yes, but I'm okay with it. And by the way, whatever you decide to talk about, we're not going to lock you into place that has to be the only, like, that is the permanent favorite game of all time. I know it's very difficult to decide on that, but whatever you decide to bring it to the table, we would love to hear it. But of course, we're also just going to talk a little bit about what our plan is moving forward when we solidify what the future of the Gaming Coop is going to be. I'm super, super, super excited about what we're doing, what we're changing, and all that stuff. So thank you so much for tuning in and listening to us talk about what we're looking forward to. Let us know what you're looking forward to if you're watching on YouTube, in the comments below, or if you're listening, tweet at us at the Gaming Coop. If you're still using Twitter, I don't blame you if you're not. Yeah, thank you so much, and until next time, game on. The Gaming Coop is brought to you by Team Chaos Productions. Follow us on Twitter at The Gaming Coop, or follow our other work at Team Chaos Pods.